The grey man does whatever a grey man can. Can he make a comic feed? Yes, he can. He just did. Watch now, a video from Grey Man. A video from Grey Man.
Hey, Grey Maniacs gather! Hope you're all having a great, amazing day. I've got my cup of tea and I've got my pile of comics. I meant to do this video hours ago. I made a cup of tea, left it in the middle room, then went about my day and forgot all about it. So about 5 hours later, I remembered not only the cup of tea, but also, right, I've got to do this video. I've read a lot this week. This is my reading pile for this week. So this one, Legion of Superheroes, Darkseid comes back into the future. Yeah, and the Legion of Superheroes have to take him out. All-Father turns up. He's somehow been stuck in time or lost in, or I don't know, hibernating or something like that. And Darkseid's got this second in command, like a slave thing. It turns out to be his son Orion, who's been like transformed into this slave type thing. Well, anyway, All-Father breaks Orion out of it. Orion fights him, but there's all kind of he's got like a Daxamite army that's decimating the Legion. Superman and Supergirl turn up to fight him as well. I can't remember how they sort of beat him in the end. In the end, he's got... How did they beat him in the end? I can't remember, but it wasn't like a real beatdown. He kind of like, he just like realised there was no point continuing with the fight and kind of like disappeared. But yeah, this one, Bouncing Boy and Comic Queen together, final mission. I can't even remember what happened in this story. Comic Queen, vague. Bouncing Boy. I can't remember what happened now. There you go. I can't remember what happened. I think a couple of them came back into the Legion. I think Saturn Girl and Cosmic Boy. I think they returned to the Legion. They've got a kid now. I don't know. Something happened with Comic Queen and Bouncing Boy. Comic Queen's a bit of a wild card. She wants to join the Legion. She's a bit flighty, and Bouncing Boy sort of doesn't. Gives her like a bad impression because he's like a bit standoffish, a bit like puts her down a little bit, and she goes off in a huff and endangers herself, and he goes to try and rescue her from endangering herself. He's got the silliest powers ever, Bouncing Boy, to be honest. Bouncing Boy, I could completely do without Bouncing Boy as a Legion of Superheroes character. Well, this next three-parter, it's kind of this. It's a little bit disappointing because it's just literally, it's just like they're just telling you it's like a story disguised as an origin, or an origin disguised as a story. Basically, RJ Brand is dying, and there's two people, I don't think I've ever seen them before, and they've broken into the Legion of Superheroes headquarters to go through all the files. Right, it turns out that they know that RJ Brand happens to be the father of one of the Legion of Superheroes members, and they need that person's blood because he's got a very rare blood type, to heal him, to help him. And so they're going through everyone's origins, and just basically it's like a couple of panels, everyone's origin, who has ever joined the Legion, people who have died, blah blah blah. I knew who his son was because I've read future ones. I didn't realise it was ever brought out as a mini series when it first happened. So this was obviously retconned. He obviously wasn't originally the father of this character until a good time later. And I don't know why they decided to create this origin all of a sudden where spoilers, but he's the father of Chameleon. So he was actually a Durlan himself, but he had this disease which he's got in this, which is killing him, which stopped him from being able to transform into any other shape. But in this one, I discover that he is Chameleon's father. Chameleon's able to give his blood and heal him. But what got me, they're going for all these origins, trying to work out who had the right blood type. Why didn't they just check the Legion? Surely they've got Legion medical records. Why would they need to do detective work from the people's origins, rather than just going through the blinking medical files of everybody? Surely everyone has got medical files if they've ever get injured while in the service of the Legion. So it was a little bit of it was an interesting enough story. It was cool to read everyone's origins again, but it's just basically like the whole origin, and kind of like an origin stroke history of the Legion of Superheroes, more or less. That was fun enough for that. The Brain Parasites, that was quite a good one. They've gone to like an archaeologist, another meteor had fallen into the water somewhere, and someone that Reed Richards knew was out there investigating. They went to help. This rock that fell into the water cracked open. There was these like brain parasite eggs inside it. They were latching onto animals and transforming them. One of them manages to get onto Sue. Does that carry on to the next? No, not in the next issue. Does it go into the next issue? No, it doesn't. One of them got onto Sue, and they managed to get it off her, basically. But it was tied in also with Franklin. Franklin destroyed these animals with his powers, and when Sue got it, he was worried about, because he didn't want to hurt Sue. He didn't want to hurt his mother. So that's when he realised that, we need to try and get his powers under control, kind of thing. And so this one, they go to another one of Reed's friends, who's trying to help him to discover what Franklin's powers are all about. He ties him up to this new hypnotic kind of device to sort of, I don't know, unleash his brainwaves or something like that. And like this ego spawn, it's like his brain, but like his hidden anger. And he goes after his uncle Johnny Storm, because Johnny Storm wanted to go out and meet up with his girlfriend rather than just sit around, which was fair enough. It wasn't like mean. It wasn't mean about it. Like, I don't care about the kid. I want to go and have fun. It was like it wasn't like he had to sit there and watch it going on. Didn't need to be there himself. But I think like little boy was hurt deep down, and that's when his deep down emotions came out. This ego spawn escaped. It got into this thug guy who had an issue with Human Torch just because he was a thug, basically, and he wanted to show off to his girlfriend. He didn't like the big superhero. Oh, you're not so tough, that kind of thing. And the ego spawn latched onto that guy, and they ended up having a fight. And the rest of the Fantastic Four go and help him out whilst Sue stays behind to try and break Franklin out of this overcome trance that he'd got himself into. Right, then I read this full series of The Unexpected. I finally had all the parts together. I had read the first issue before, just like lots of new characters really. I can't remember what the lady's name's called now. Oh, Firebrand. There's a lady called Firebrand who's got this heart which needs to be fed with battle, basically, and it's like it gives her quite good strong powers. He doesn't really show you what the powers are, but it just seems to be like lots of strength, lots of resilience. That's basically the long and short of it. But she's helping out in this hospital for veterans because she was a veteran herself. But she got killed during what was it? What was the thing that happened? One of the big, I think, Dark Knight's Metal, I think it was, and she'd been empowered on a spike. Her heart had been punctured. They're giving her this new heart, this Chaos Engine as it's called. That's her there at the front there. Firebrand, taking on a name that's been used by at least 2 other DC heroes, and these 3 turn up. I think his name's Neon, some kind of Viking, and this bloke. But these 2 get killed in the very first issue anyway by the Bad Samaritan. The Bad Samaritan, he has blood on his, can't remember, on his hands or on his weapon, and he mixes it. He hit. Then right, he's got blood of all of them on his hands. He hits her somehow in her heart, her Chaos Engine heart kind of thing. What's it called? The Violence Engine. I can't remember what it's called now. I think I said it a second ago. And it somehow creates a new type of metal, a new what's the word? When we mix 2 metals together, a new alloy. Is it a new alloy of metal? And Bolivar Sin, what's his name? That evil, like the demon guy from Thanagar, Onimar Sin, and he wants it. He wants the so the rest of it. This guy who's got the powers of creation, ways he can create things from other things. He's like an artist who saw into the fires of creation, and I think it was something that was shown on Dark Knight's Metal, which I never actually read. And the Bad Samaritan was his opposite. He'd seen the flames of destruction or something, and that's why they were kind of polar opposites to each other. And Onimar Sin wants this alloy. They meet up with Hawkman. They go on a few different journeys. They're being chased by Onimar Sin and his cohorts who wants the alloy, trying to keep the alloy away from me because it's super dangerous and it could blow up. It's like it keeps charging itself up, and it's like it's going to blow up the whole of the multiverse kind of thing. It's so powerful, and in the end. Basically, in the end, they end up teaming up with the Bad Samaritan to take out. It was like Onimar's Sin was taken out by somebody else, but there's another demon who I think was first shown in Dark Knight's Metal. Can't remember what his name is now, but he's down in like a dark pit. He's like a hawkish looking kind of demon. What is his name? It should show you on here somewhere. No, the Fuginauts. No. Yeah, no, I don't remember what the last monster's name was, but anyway, they managed to defeat him by teaming up with the Bad Samaritan. And they ended up defeating him. Basically, that was about it. That was a pretty reasonable story. That wasn't bad. Good characters, good action, some quite big concepts to try and get your head around. And maybe if you'd read Dark Knight's Metal, it'd have been easier. Right. This one was a nice one. This is the third and final part. I'm not sure if there's any more Fire Hair comics ever came out, but this guy debuted on my birthday in September 1969, so I ended up buying the first comic. What happened, they sent me the second comic by accident, and I was like, this is not the one I wanted, so they sent me the first one, and I got the second, they let me keep the second one, so it's like, that's nice, and it's like, there's only 3 parts of this story, so I wanted to get the last part. This one, he gets attacked by a mountain lion, and he's injured, and then he gets taken in by this tribe their medicine man is trying to kill him, and like doing all these tests, tying him up and so forth. He's sort of meeting with like demons, and like pretty quickly I sort of sussed it. Goes, nah, he's suffering from his wounds. He's in a fever dream caused by being wounded by the mountain lion. And of course it did come true. And it turned out that the people had taken him in, but they weren't being nasty to him. They were trying to heal him, kind of thing. But yeah, it was a good story though. I enjoyed it, and I quite like that Fire Hair guy. I don't know if he ever appeared anywhere else, but yeah. So I don't read an awful lot of non-superhero comics, but yeah, I enjoyed that one. I'm glad to have all 3 parts of that. Right, some nice old Daredevil action as well. Here he's fighting the Owl. There was a few there, so I get a bit confused about which story was which. I think in this one the Owl had become crippled, and he was trying to get hold of this doctor who would help him with his legs, but also with his flying. And at the end, he managed to get healed, but the doctor made it so the wings aren't going to work permanently, and he's in the middle of a fight with Daredevil, and he suddenly starts plummeting into his death. I think that's how this one is. Is this the one where he ends up plummeting through the ice? He disappears under the ice. Yeah, he disappears. This is the one. So he falls, seemingly to his death, falls for the ice, and doesn't emerge. But that's anyone who's read any comics in their life knows that's not a death. That's he swims off and comes back in a few issues. Right, and this guy here, Smasher, has been given power by I can't remember the name of the character. Deathstalker, Death Dealer, something like that. I think he's given his power to Smasher, and Smasher's been told Smasher that he's got to go and kill Daredevil for him. And so this is basically Smasher just trying to get after him. And Daredevil's like, well, yeah, I don't need to fight you. What have I got to fight you for? Just ignore you, and just walks off. Runs off, flies off, not flies off, but he goes over the buildings, gets away from him. Right, and this one, his girlfriend's dad's been framed by the Purple Man because he's been made to do like stuff that wasn't really him. His girlfriend's told him to go to this location. When he gets there, he finds out that Cobra and Mr. Hyde are there, and this is just a big fight. Big old fight goes on, and in the end, he gets knocked out and is being carried off into the sewers by Mr. Hyde. And someone, I think it was Ben Urich, sort of films it or takes a picture of it or something. But yeah. Then anybody's like I say, he's being led off or carried off into the sewers. It's really, I don't know, when it comes to, with superhero comics, you've got to manage your expectations. You've got to, what's the bloody phrase? Suspend your disbelief. And when it comes to Daredevil, I find it's the hardest one for me to suspend my disbelief. I have trouble with Batman, like using his batarangs and flying from buildings, swinging from buildings, like how anything like that, any stunt like that, you'd have to work out all the angles and everything in advance. You wouldn't just be able to sort of do that swinging from building to building. It's just like, and sometimes when they throw a batarang, and suddenly they fly off in the air. So what's caused them to fly off in the air? It's like, gravity doesn't work like that. Things don't work like that. But I try and ignore it. But with Daredevil, I find it the hardest. Like, he's got a wounded shoulder, he's running along flagpoles, and he's falling out of buildings and using that stupid billy club, which is it just looks so right. It looks just just looks so daft. It looks so unrealistic, and the stunts that he gets up to. I know he's blind and all that, but like he's still got the normal human reflexes, albeit to a well-trained status. But some of the stuff that he does, and I'm just like, oh man, you wouldn't do that. I don't, he's just not believable. But yeah, suspend your disbelief. Suspend your disbelief. Well, this was a good one because there's this comic book, like a real old, real comic book, that's mysteriously disappearing and like sort of teleporting, and Flash has to work out why it's doing it. Basically, his next door neighbour's a fan, and his comic disappears, and it turns up in Barry's collection. Almost makes Barry look like he's stolen it, but he obviously hasn't. And then it disappears again, and it's coated with some chemicals. Some criminal gang have discovered these chemicals, and they think they can spray it on stuff, and when they will it will come to them, kind of thing. And yeah, in the end, when they realised that it was on this comic, they'd stolen all the copies of it they could and bought up all the copies that they could. They didn't want the formula to get in anybody else's hands. But it was a good happy ending because Flash and his next door neighbour both end up with nice copies of Flash comics, whatever number it was. But I'm sure it was the first appearance of Golden Age Flash, I'm not sure. But like, definitely a comic I wouldn't mind having. But it's always cool to have a comic telling you a story about other comics. What amazing secret does a Golden Age comic hold that causes 3 heroes to fight for its possession? Actually, those other 2 heroes were just guys dressed up as heroes so they could steal it from a comic convention. Central City was having its very first comic convention. What happened in this one? I've got a feeling that cover's not really giving me anything. I don't remember him risking his identity to save somebody's life. To save this man's life, I'm forced to give up the secret of Barry Allen. No, I don't remember that at all. Oh right, yeah, I remember this. Right, it's that Clive Yorkin, is it? This is because I get this. Is it Clive Yorkin? Clyde Yorkin? Doesn't say on this page that I can see. Yeah, because I remember this character from when I was a kid. Some of my earliest comics had this guy in it, and he's able to sort of like sap energy and life force from people. This is how he first gets turned. Some device that they're trying to make him, they put him into, they're supposed to help criminals to rehabilitate, but instead it ends up, frying his mind. He goes crazy and sort of hits the pain button over and over and over again. There's a few bits in here where it's like, no, there's no way that would happen, because like they sometimes forget how fast Flash can be. Like, and the guy throws him out a window and then he manages to get away and do stuff. It's no, Flash could have got back into that room before the geezer even turned around, let alone run down the hallway. They don't. Sometimes they annoy you with that. Anyway, he ends up getting away down a sewer. And then I think at the very end, the very last panel, he's outside Iris's window, about to break in. Let me just get to that. Yeah, there he is, staring through Iris's window. Also quite poignant in this one, Iris is thinking that Barry's losing interest in her because he's away obviously trying to do other stuff, fight crime and so forth, go after criminals. And like, poor Iris is thinking, he's definitely lost interest in you lately. Maybe you're just not what he wants anymore. You've got to face up to the fact that maybe he's found someone else. No, Barry wouldn't do that. Barry wouldn't do that. Barry loves Iris. Why does it never end happily for our superhero friends? Right, Action Comics, can't go wrong with a bit of action. So much cheaper to pick up than the Batman ones. Right, in this one, Blackrock. I can't remember why it was called Blackrock, but finally it totally tells you why it's called Blackrock in this one. I've forgotten why now. But he's sort of like he's created by a Galaxy Radio. Keep getting all the Galaxy News. Keep getting the scoops on Superman, and this other company are annoyed about it. Like, so he gets one of his brainiacs to sort of try and create his own superhero. And before he gets all the suit made and all that, but before he actually gets to find someone to use it, he gets knocked over the head and somebody else pinches it. But it's all a bit mysterious. It could be him or someone he knows. There's a little bit of mystery around it. But and this guy, this is a bit deceptive. I think Superman thinks he's a criminal, and so because he keeps turning up at crimes, but he's not. He's trying to fight the crimes at the same time Superman is. But I'm pretty sure there is some shenanigans going on there. I think he is nefarious, although he's posing as a good guy. This one's quite a good one. I quite like this little story. I've not seen this character before. He had a bit of an awkward name. I can't remember what it was now. But basically, he was from another planet where everyone has got superpowers, but he became allergic to everyday life. Everyone on his planet, everything about his planet was he was allergic and was killing him. So they sent him to Earth for quarantine, where he was perfectly safe. He wasn't trying to take over the world or anything. He was just posing as a builder. But Superman, he was allergic to Superman, and Superman was killing him. So to prevent himself from being killed, he had to kill Superman. I'll get rid of Superman. So first of all, he was after Steve Lombard because he thought Steve Lombard was Superman. Because when he was in close proximity to Clark and Steve, he felt himself getting sick. But he mistook the signals. I thought it was Steve Lombard who was the real, the Superman. And people don't know Steve Lombard is a sports commentator on the the Galaxy Radio. Same as Superman. He's like a friend stroke enemy of Clark Kent because he's always playing pranks on Clark Kent. But in the end, I think they become like friends, or even though he's a bit of a jock who likes to pick on people a bit. Right, and this is just a follow on of that story. Superman eventually is able to cure him, and sort of a little bit naughty. He steals his memories of who he is, so he just thinks he's a normal human being. Which is kind of like, I don't like things like that when Superman decides to steal people's brains. It's a little bit, you kind of think, it's a little bit un-Superman-y. It's a little bit unheroic to do that kind of thing. I'm sure there was another one in this was a little bit on the unheroic side. There's a backup story in this one of Mr. Mixer Pickly Plock. I can't remember what happened in that one now. What happened in the backup story of Mr. Mixy Plickety Plock? Oh, that's right. He was, he had a plan to take out, to annoy Superman, and he employed Pete Ross's son. I think it's Pete Ross's son who's from that famous comic book where it looks like Superman's about to strip off and do untoward things to him because he's lying in bed with his face crying in the pillow, and people say, it looks like Superman's just done something rude, which obviously he hasn't, but he was like dying, and like somehow Superman giving him his secret was going to help him survive or something like that. So he knows Superman is Clark Kent, even though he didn't believe it at first. So Mr. Mixy Plickety Pockety Plock he's trying to employ him to say, you help me with my plan. We're going to change the world. So Superman thinks he basically humiliates Superman, and in the very last instance, the boy outwits Mr. Mixy Plick, makes him say his name backwards, so he has to go back to his own dimension for 90 days. So yeah, just a little fun backup story. This one, Crypto. I think this one is the one where Crypto gets a guy from a radio station has recorded Superman doing the dog whistle that normally attracts Crypto, and he uses it to get Crypto to come to him because he wants Crypto to do an advertising campaign. Because Crypto has no need for money, he says, that all the money that you go is going to go towards dogs' homes, to give homes and help stray dogs. So he ends up doing that. It's just another little fun backup story, basically. Yeah, I'm sure there was another thing that happened in the Superman comic, and I was like, that doesn't seem very Superman-y to me. There's like, a little bit, ooh. Oh, yeah, right. So carrying on from that story with this guy, it's still carrying on actually. At one point, I forgot about this, he actually knocks him back into the past. So he uses this side device to make him lose his memory, make him think he's actually from, because it was coming up to the centennial or something, so he sends him back to the bicentennial blockbuster. He sends him back to 1776, and he witnesses and helps out with the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a dark day in American history when they got independence from the Great Britain. Oh dear. I know you've got regrets, guys. I know you wish you hadn't done it, but you've made your own bed, you've got to lie in it now. Right. I can't remember what happened in this one. Pile Driver. He fights some guy called Pile Driver. Backup story. Oh, in the backup story, an Australian news magnate had come to Metropolis, and Clark Kent has to show him around, and he has to sort of like fight crimes and help people, stop the suicide, stop the disaster, all the while not being spotted by this this news magnate. He doesn't have too much of difficulty doing it because the guy is busy looking at the news and looking at looking where Superman's about to appear, looking at the crisis. So Clark's easily able to get away and fight stop whatever the situation is, wanting super speed, and then get back into being Clark Kent before the guy turns around and notices. I can't remember what happened in the initial story though. This fight with Pile Driver. Who is Pile Driver? What's his story? What happens? Superman, I'm going to rerun your life. A punch that can shatter the earth into... Oh, he takes that Pile Driver in one panel, or one page here. Oh, is that literally it? Oh, this is... Oh no, there's Pile Driver again, the purple Pile Driver. He takes him out again. Yeah, this is a weird story. Things keep happening that echo the creation of previous heroes. Like this one boy gets his parents killed, and when Superman goes to visit him, he's escaped using a batarang and rope. Another kid gets doused in chemicals and hit by lightning. In exactly the same way as Flash. Not quite sure what's happening there. I think his story is still going to be continued anyway, so you don't actually see what happened to it. Yes, so there's a young Flash and a young Batman looking person. Yeah. I am the real Flash in the flesh. Batman, I have had our lives rerun. And now here's the kicker, Superman, you are next. And if you readers wonder who I am and what I have in store for Superman, don't miss Think Young and Die in the November issue of Action Comics. Yeah, so yeah, it didn't really continue that story. I'll have to read Action Comics to find out what happened next. I'll have to read the next issue to find out exactly what was going on. But if it really was the real Flash and the real Batman sent to relive their lives, it was probably Mr. Mixy Plixy Plixy Plockety Plock, because that's the kind of shenanigans he gets up to. Right, this is the last one that I read. There was, Superman battles his spaceship, this UFO. They're not actually bad, but he thought they were for a second. But when he doesn't realise, they brought back someone they've had for 40 years. They've taken this guy 40 years ago, and they've travelled him around the universe, showing him sights, and they beam him back onto the Earth, and Superman meets him. He's an old guy. He doesn't recognise Superman because Superman wasn't around 40 years ago when he was first taken away, and he's got this old 40-year-old car. But what I also don't know, he also happens to have been a villain, a supervillain, one of the first supervillains before he was taken away. Microwave Man. And yeah, so, and then he called, at the end he realises he hasn't got control of his microwave powers much anymore. He accidentally sends the Daily Planet Globe as like a meteor, sends it flying. But he wants to, now he knows that Superman's there, he wants a challenge. He's got a challenge at last, and he's like, so he asked the aliens who've got super technology and can do practically anything, and they de-age him 40 years. So now he's a young, fresh microwave man with at the height of his powers, and he's basically going to be taking on Superman in the next issue. So I didn't get to read the rest of it because I haven't got the next issue yet. And then in the backup story, Atom, it seemed like it was quite early on in his career almost, because it was talking about he'd just been accepted to be married by Jean Loring. They'd just been married and they were trapped in a cave, and there was these little guys, and they were called like bat riders or bat raiders. They ride on the back of bats, and they'd initially been forced into the cave underground because the big people had forced them there, and they want Atom to shrink the rest of the world down to his size, which is smaller than what they are, and so they can lord it over them. Yeah, but they managed to escape. Him and Jean managed to escape, but it was kind of like poignant because it was like, you know, the first Atom books, he's asking her to marry him over and over again. She finally marries him, and then they were around for a little while, and then the next thing they get divorced. It wasn't that long before they got divorced. You know, he was courting her in the 60s, you know, wanting to get married to her. And finally she says yes, I suppose through the 70s. And then when he had his book in the 80s, they'd been divorced. She has an affair behind his back. They end up getting divorced. He finds like a little miniature woman the same size as he can grow to out in the Amazon, who ends up getting killed by the CIA or something. And then it ends up Jean Loring ends up becoming Eclipso after killing bloody elongated man's wife Sue Dibney by accident, but still did it. So yeah, you know, why can't superheroes ever be lucky in love? That's all I ask. Right, I'm out of here. Cheers for watching. Come back tomorrow. Well, I'll be going through my hauls. Well, I've got a couple of packages. I've only got 2 packages so far. Might have another one tomorrow. I'm kind of trying to stop. I'm always saying this. I'm trying to stop buying. But what I've got planned at the moment, I'm thinking to myself, if I can not buy any comics for 3 months, I'll reward myself by getting myself one of my keys. Yeah, maybe. If you want to see what my haul plan, well, my buy-in plans are for 2021, watch my goals for 2021 video. I'll try and leave it at the end here so you can watch. It's only had 17 views, so you know, people. Surely someone must be interested in what I'm after in 2021. Yeah, I don't think so. But anyway, cheers for watching this. I'm out of here, and yeah, until next time. Have a great, amazing day, and may all your news be good news. Buy my shirts!
Nick the Comic Nerd, the Comic Nerd. Have you heard about Nick the Comic Nerd? Go and sub him up today. Yes, go and sub him up, I say. It's Nick the Comic Nerd! Yay!